Within a deep and mist-shrouded valley lies the town of Knuckletal. Just outside of Knuckletal lies a hamlet, and in that hamlet, a dingy, worn tavern where common folk and Landsknechte alike stop for a drink and a story. It's a busy evening in the tavern. Beer and silver coins flow freely. Laughter and boasts of conquest, both martial and carnal, fill the room. Conrad sits on a bench with his back against the wall, sipping sour beer and watching the tavern's entrance over the rim of his cup. Beside him, a long bundle leans against the wall, wrapped in cloth, with an old halberdier's helmet perched on top. A petite woman, garbed in a simple yellow dress and a white coif, enters through the front door. She looks around the room, head down. Meanwhile, one of the loud, red-faced men leans against Conrad's bundle. Potential movement is stifled as boasting Landsknechte pack close. Conrad's eyes linger on the woman until he notices the man leaning against his belongings. He sets down his cup, stands, and places a hand on the man's arm before giving him a shove.
"Watch it, you oaf! I've just bought that, and I won't have your fat ass damaging it."
The man nearly trips over himself and gives an indignant look. The men around him pause their stories to laugh heartily.
"Hey, you better watch it, man. It looks like you'll take something out of that bundle and have your ass with it."
The woman fidgets with her hands together and finds a seat at the bar between two big patrons. Conrad grumbles as he grabs the bundle and settles it against his shoulder. He reaches beneath the bench and grabs his pack. Edging through the crowd toward the woman, he scans the room once more for any familiar faces. The room resumes its laughter and rambunctiousness, save the only woman in it. She twiddles her thumbs and, sensing a presence, looks over her left shoulder at Conrad. Her eyes look a bit sunken, and twinges of scraggly hair peek out of her coif. The barkeep, Hans, familiar to all around here, slings a beer to a patron at the other end of the bar. Brahm catches the beer, though a sip's worth still spills on the ground.
"I said I would come get it, you bastard,"
he says, accompanied with a laughter. He had some coin to scatter for the week and loved hanging out with the local lads. Yet Brahm also always kept an ear open for a specific type of conversation potentially taking place. Conrad steps forward, wedging himself between the woman and one of the men leaning on the counter. He turns and looks into her sunken eyes. "How do, miss? Haven't seen you around here before. You doing a bit of bird watching in the valley?" He shifts, resting his hand casually on his hip near his blade before continuing, not waiting for an answer. "Had a traveling falconer out to the house a fortnight ago. He said the man who runs the mews around here up and moved on. I'd hooded up some old haggard birds for the man a few years back, and these days I mostly just give his falconers a place to rest when they're passing through. Didn't seem the type of fella to just up and leave." He shrugs. The falconer reckoned there might be someone new taking over the mews. Said they could be looking for some experienced falconers. He cocks an eyebrow, his hand casually setting on the hilt of his Kurzbalg now. "So, you here for some bird watching?" Hans gives a chuckle to Brahm and walks over to his end of the bar. "So, how's business? Any work?" Brahm is very distracted from this tale of a patron that got out of quicksand by pulling out his own hair. At the same time Hans asks this, the woman at the other end of the bar begins speaking quietly to Conrad amidst the noise of the tavern. Yes, sir. Bird watching." She points at the Katzbalge before realizing her mistake and retracting her finger. "I didn't understand all of that, frankly, but I do have a bit of compensation if you can take care of something. Someone." The woman looks down for a moment before looking back up at Conrad. "Father Richter has placed a hex on me. I know everyone says he is a righteous man, but I have evidence. Please help me. Conrad straightens, frowning as his eyes shift, looking past the woman now. I see. If you've been betting a priest and it's gone sour, that's business for your kid, not mine. I'd be careful about throwing that hex word around as well. Conrad steps away from the woman, looks around the tavern, shaking his head, lets out an exasperated breath before speaking back over his shoulder. How much is a bit of compensation? I've saved up a month's wages, 60 thaler. That should be enough, right? And with the priest, it's not like that. She hops off the bar stool, her petite frame more apparent now. So, do you work alone? At the same time, Hans is laughing with Brahm and a group of men around him. That trick won't work again. He has no hair left to pull. Maybe he can rely on that long nose there of his. Brahm gives out a hearty laugh before taking a big swig of beer. He then lets the next person tell his story, and then looks at the patrons in the room, trying to spot anyone with unwholesome intentions that Brahm may have to be ready to intervene. The patrons carry on laughing and arguing, drinks sloshing about. No signs of anything unwholesome, save some unsavory language. Ah, I'd have to work alone for that pittance. Conrad turns back to the girl and leans in with a stern but pitying look. You'd best come up with a tale that plucks at the heartstrings, if that's all you've got to offer, girl. The woman adjusts her coif. I can show you what he's done to me, just not here, please. She eyes the door. You can decide if it's worth your time once I show you, and I can pay 10 more thaler. Conrad's eyes narrow slightly. I will accompany you, but you wouldn't be the first woman I've followed out of a tavern in my day, and if you've a friend waiting to batter this old man's head and have a go for my coin, it will not turn out well for you. He taps the steel pommel of his blade to emphasize the point, and then gestures for her to lead to the door. The woman wordlessly walks to the door and opens it with a creak, leading the way for Conrad. Brahm notices the two leaving together, neither holding hands or displaying any signs of prior familiarity or affection. He turns to the barkeeper. Who are these two? They seem odd to me. Huh? Oh, the two that were here a second ago? Hans rubs his long mustache with a finger and thumb. The man is Conrad, an old soldier, a family man, I think. The lady, I'd stay away. She's a potion seller, and that isn't as harmless as it sounds in her case. Brahm scratches his beard. I've a bad feeling for the fella. Call it guard instinct, but I think I'll go after them and stay around a corner. If I don't hear screams or violence and everything seems to be fine, I'll come back without getting involved. He finishes off his beer and leaves payment with proper tip before nonchalantly leaving the tavern, almost as if he's going outside for a piss. The woman walks down the dirt street, quaint shops on her left and farmland on her right. The sun beats down harshly. Almost there. You'll see once you're there. Conrad looks up at the glaring sun and wipes a few beads of sweat from his brow. He continues after the girl with a grumble. I've not got all day to waste, girl. Assuming you show me evidence of this priest's misdeeds, what would you have done to him? The tavern door creaks closed behind Brahm. A long path stretches forward with stalks of barley to the right and some shacks to the left. A bit down a ways, the woman turns round a corner. Conrad is close behind. Brahm continues after them in a slow pace. If they start to run, he will very likely lose them. But if Conrad is dumb enough to run off with a woman like her, there isn't much a man like Brahm can do to help. The smell of sweet bread wafts through the air. The barley stalks rustle, and a man with dirt stains on his clothes and a simple red caul emerges. Excuse me, sir. He mumbles as he straddles over the fence and then walks into town. Brahm is already venturing into suspicious territory and for half a moment gives the man that emerges from the barley an earnest look. Is that really just a farmhand, or did he do something? Brahm is currently occupied with a different lead, but he wants to at least be ready for a mental note of that man and understand if he was accidentally caught and now just pretending to go about his business. It occurs to Brahm that although the man's clothes were plain, they were all black and not suited for field work in the hot sun. He also avoided eye contact completely. Brahm just gives a nod and says, "Go along then, sir," and stays on his primary target, increasing his pace a little as he feels he has fallen behind. He continues on down a perpendicular road until he turns onto another pathway. Brahm only makes note on the direction that man went and then continues after the pair. The woman turns a corner, leading to a shack with vines crawling from the windows. She opens the door, and at the top of the doorway, small bells wrapped in some kind of leafage ring. She stops just inside the doorway and looks Conrad in the eyes. "You're a witch hunter, aren't you? I need you to hunt him down and kill him like an animal." Conrad pulls his blade free from the scabbard and gives the bells a tap. "Witch hunter? I don't remember saying I was a witch hunter." He returns her look, the bells jangling. She puts a hand on her hip. "Right, of course not. Now I suppose you want me to remove those before you walk in? Got a stool around here somewhere? Or you could pick me up. That would be faster." She looks up at the bells. Conrad chops the bells away with a vicious stroke and walks in. "I give not a damn for the bells. You are sorely trying my patience. What's the priest done? Why should I step into the shit heap of trouble that killing a priest brings, and for 70 silvers, no less? Tell it true now, girl." The woman looks down at the bells, now on the floor, and back up at Conrad. Her eyes begin to well up. She removes her coif, revealing a bald head, save some curly stragglers on the sides. "It's not just me hair. I'm feeling weaker and weaker every day. My potions, I admit they can only do so much." She walks further into her house, opening a chest and counting coins. "I need Father Richter dead. He's an evil man. It be not evil to kill him. Please, 120 thaler. It's all I have." Conrad lets out a sigh, his frown causing his mustache to droop, and stoops to pick up the bells. He stands there awkwardly, holding the dented things and trying to sheathe his blade. "I see. And what makes you think this Father Richter is behind this?" She takes the bells and deposits them in the chest, then stuffs the 120 thaler into Conrad's hands, tears flowing down now. "Just close the door behind you, would ye?" She puts the coif back on her head. "Father Richter has always hated my family. Do you remember the so-called potion wishers that were hanged last month and the month before? Those were my brother and father. Father Richter convinced the court in Kunucheltal they were hexing him. It's true they dabbled in magic, but they would never do anything evil with it. It's just medicine, mostly." She takes a deep breath. "Anyway, Father Richter still experiences, or claims to experience, some kind of affliction at night. It continues on despite me father and brother being dead, so now he redirects his ire to me. But he's the one doing the real hexing now, I know it, ever since me brother's spell book went missing. I know he took it. Look at me window. You can see evidence of the break-in here. Conrad pushes the door closed and moves over to the window. He leans the wrapped bundle against the wall and gives the window a closer look. Brahm reaches the overgrown house just as the sound of bells impact the floor, shortly after which the door closes. Brahm does not get any closer. He finds a nice spot of shade and stands there for a while, simply waiting for something very loud to occur. The window is big enough for a woman or small man to crawl through, and Father Richter is on the smaller side. Other than that, the window is quite unremarkable. The woman kicks a straw pallet to the side and opens the door in the back wall. Wiping a tear and hiccuping, the woman speaks up again. My father and brother slept in here. They were gentlemanly enough to let me sleep in the bigger front room. Anyway, I've left it untouched since the break-in. And as you'll see, me bro- me, me brother's spellbook is gone. The back room is a torrential mess of ripped pallets, turned over chair and desk, broken vials, stains, and books. Conrad puts his bundle back against his shoulder and follows, stopping at the doorway and peering in at the disheveled room. And Father Richter is the priest in Knokeltal? I've just been to the smith there recently, but I don't go down to the town proper very often. She wipes up the last of her tears. Yes, he is. Uh, Makes sense you don't know him. I would have called on you months ago if I knew of you. The court doesn't know a lick about magic, not like a hunter does. Conrad grumbles as he backs away from the room, glancing toward the exit. Not a hunter. Just a concerned resident of the valley is all I am. But I've taken your coin, so I'll see to the task. You have any other helpful information about the priest? Or anyone who might know a bit more about him? She closes the door to the back room. I guess that is mostly it. He lives in the town proper, near the church, and of course spends a lot of time there in the church. Oh, and I'm Amalie, from the Apotheca family. You can find me here, and you? Conrad walks to the front door and pauses, one hand resting on the latch. Conrad. Some folks know me around here. If you're concerned, I'll run off with your coin. I think it best we speak little from this point on. If you are truly under a hex, you'll know when the problem has been taken care of. He opens the door a crack and pokes his head outside, looking up and down the road. Brahm is quite far away, stationed at a corner 3 buildings away in the shade and turned away as if waiting for someone. The distance is far enough to ensure he is in no way could have eavesdropped in anything said at the door or in the house. He's an experienced guard, knowing exactly where to stand to be ready for trouble without being entangled in trouble from hearing the wrong thing at the wrong time. He is also quite good at looking more bored and lazy than he actually is. Conrad steps back inside, having seen nothing amiss outside. If something should happen, and you're in dire need of contacting me, I'll be making my way up to Kunokotal today. Do not look for me in town. There is a trail to a small abandoned lead mine some ways east of town, south of the Knucklestones. Wait for me there. With that, he leaves quickly, not heading directly to Kunokotal, but feet pointed toward the last known to him safe house and contact point for the guild.